Welcome to Paired Adventures. This podcast is intended for listeners 18 and older. It contains discussions about the consensual adult swinger lifestyle and may include mature themes and language. Listener discretion is advised.
All opinions shared are personal and for entertainment and discussion purposes only. This podcast does not provide professional, medical, legal, or relationship advice.
All activities discussed involve consenting adults. We do not support coercion, exploitation, or illegal behavior. By listening, you confirm that you are of legal age and choose to engage with this content. Hey there, Sexy listeners, and welcome back to Paired Adventures. I'm Veronica.
And I'm Philip. And today we are going to talk about swinging through her eyes, the female perspective. So, to get us started, why did you want to dedicate an episode to the female perspective?
I feel like it would be good for our listeners to, especially if we have female listeners, to hear things from the woman's side.
Okay. So, what surprised you most when entering the lifestyle as a woman?
That there weren't like a lot of weird men. Like, I think your first instinct going in is that as a woman, there's going to be like all of these like super thirsty, horny men that just want to fuck, and they might not necessarily have like boundaries and limitations, and that you're just going to be something for them to use like a toy.
Okay. And you found that the lifestyle actually offered something different in that?
Yeah, I found that there are a lot of men, but they're not necessarily like horn dogs, and they're actually very respectful, and they don't treat you like a conquest, or they treat you like a person. So I think that that was something like going into it. My initial thoughts were, I don't want to feel like, I guess, like fresh meat to all of these men, because that's not necessarily what I was interested in.
Okay. What fears or expectations did you have early on?
Well, I think that the one fear was, men just thinking that if you're there, you're just kind of like a slut or a whore or something like derogatory, and like just being used just to achieve their sexual fantasy.
Any other fears?
I think my other fears come from like insecurity. So like not being like the right body type, or, not being attractive enough, things like that. So like your self-confidence obviously plays a role into things. So you're kind of, if you have any insecurities about yourself, they're kind of highlighted, but not in any way that would be different than like going on a first date. Like you're kind of having like the same feelings, like, are they gonna like me? Are my tits nice enough? Do I have a nice enough ass? Like you're just kind of like questioning like your like physique.
Okay. Did the lifestyle change how you view your own sexuality?
I think so, like especially for me. So we haven't really done like an episode on like religion or anything like that, but I grew up in like the Catholic religion. So I was always brought up to be in a monogamous relationship and to kind of view sex as something that you only do with your husband. And or sex had to like have some kind of meaning behind it. It had to be about love and intimacy and things like that. I had never, in all of the time that I had been sexually active with men, I had never been just with a man to be with a man. So, like, I never had one night stands. I didn't hook up with people at bars. Every person that I'd ever been sexual with, I was in a long-term committed relationship, and I associated sex with love. So it was a very emotional thing for me. And then when I came out about being bisexual, then I wanted to kind of explore that part of my sexuality. So the lifestyle helped me to be able to do that. And I realized that sex with the person that you love is great, but it doesn't have to always be emotionally driven. It can also just be for fun.
Yeah, I believe that. So, how has it affected your confidence inside and outside of the bedroom? Like, think about the first time you went to a swinger event.
Okay, so obviously for me personally, I do have a lot of body issues. People call it like dysmorphia. So it's where you can look fantastic, but you don't see yourself correctly. I guess is the easiest way to describe it. So like you could be 110 pounds and have a perfect figure and look amazing by anyone's standards, but like to yourself, you don't see the same thing that everyone else sees. So I struggle a little bit with that. And obviously, I'm not a supermodel, I'm just the average person. So obviously, struggling with the insecurities that I have with my body, my confidence and my self esteem tend to be on the lower side. So I remember the first time that we went to a swingers event and I had changed into lingerie, which was like a huge thing for me. Because up until that point, I don't think I'd ever even worn lingerie. And I put the lingerie on, and it was almost like putting on a superhero mask. And so I found that wearing that lingerie kind of gave me like this sense of like confidence in itself and almost like I could be someone else. Like it was like a disguise. I remember this particular moment of walking down a hallway, and this particular hallway at the time, it led to the bathrooms. It was lined with men on both sides, just kind of like hanging out in the hallway. And I remember walking down this hallway and just being hit left and right with compliment after compliment. And it wasn't like derogatory compliments. It was more like, walking down the hall and people were like, God, you're beautiful, or you have such sexy legs, or, your tits are great. But it was like really nice, genuine, like you deserve to feel good about yourself kind of compliments. And I remember feeling like, holy cow, like I feel really good right now. And like just kind of like allowed me to take a second and be like, like my mind tells me one thing, but like getting this feedback that's telling me like I look good and I should be confident. So that was like a really big like ego boost for someone, especially like if you do struggle with the confidence in your body. And so I feel like that over time, having that consistent kind of feedback, I feel like that has helped me personally with increasing my confidence in my body and allowing me to understand that, you know what, like I might not be what everyone is looking for, but there's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for you guys listening, keep that in mind. Ladies love compliments and it really helps. It helps tonight when you're going out and you're at one of these events, throw out some compliments.
Yeah, because it can really like turn the night around for that person. You don't really know, like that person could really be struggling with feeling confident. They could feel super insecure. And that one compliment could really like pull them out of their shell and make them feel so much better about themselves and feel like more at ease.
Right, exactly. So, have you ever felt pressure to perform or to participate?
No, I don't feel like I've ever felt pressured into any situation. I feel like every instance that I've ever been in, I feel like everything has been on my terms. And I feel like I have a voice and I'm able to use it. And I feel like people are reciprocating of that. So, like, if I am not cool with something, like, I'm going to say that I'm not cool with it. And they're going to just take that for face value and move on. I've never had anybody make me feel uncomfortable or make me do something that I didn't want to do. And I feel like in the swinger lifestyle, consent is such a huge thing. And if you don't have consent, like you don't have consent. I mean, you don't move forward. And that goes either way. I mean, it could be a female on female, it could be a man and a female. Consent works mutually for all sexes. So, I mean, even if Philip was approached by a woman and he wasn't interested, he would still have the right to say no to that situation. And he wouldn't pressure anybody and I wouldn't pressure anybody, like, especially if, like, I was talking to another woman and she was telling me she wasn't into something, I wouldn't proceed to do what she's not into. So I don't feel like I've ever been pressured or made to feel uncomfortable or that I had to do something that I wasn't comfortable with.
Okay. How would you navigate unwanted attention?
So wanted attention can happen because obviously you could have somebody who's interested in you, but you're not interested in them. And I think that the biggest thing to remember is like we're all human and we all have our own preferences and our own like what we're attracted to. And so it's okay to say no. And don't be an asshole. Like,
Mm,
just be kind. I mean, you can very gracefully and eloquently tell somebody, I think that you're a great person and the conversation that we've had has been fantastic, but I don't see it moving any further than that. And I mean, so you don't have to be an asshole to them or be mean. So you just have to be honest and be true to who you are and stand firm in what you want and what you don't want and just be nice about letting them down. Because the same could be said if it was the reverse roles. If you were really into somebody else, like you wouldn't want them to be an asshole to you. You would want them to kind of let you down gently. I
yeah.
mean, they're taking a lot of, like, courage, right? I mean, it takes a lot of courage to go up to somebody and try to, like, shoot your shot. And so, like, there's, like, a whole build up to that. Like, you have to be like, "All right, I'm gonna go talk to this person, and I'm gonna see if something can come out of this." And so, I mean, you're taking a lot, like, you're in a very vulnerable state. So, you the last thing that I would want is for me to go up to somebody and try to approach them and then for them to like turn me down and be just really mean about it because then that's going to crush me because and probably ruin the rest of my night because that's all I'm going to worry about is damn like I shot my shot with this person and they completely obliterated me and now I feel like shit. I'm embarrassed. I'm awkward now. So, like, just be kind and understand, like, it took a lot for this person to approach me. And so I'm gonna just let them know, like, you're a great person and I'm sure that you're fantastic, but you're just not what I'm looking for. And I don't see myself doing anything with you. We can talk and we can have a conversation, but sexually, I don't see it.
Right. I mean, I think that's easy for someone who's got some experience now, but thinking back on when you first went, did you have that confidence to be able to really stand up for yourself or to like I don't want to say shoo someone away, but I'm thinking about newer women in the lifestyle who may not know how to speak up for themselves. How could they get out of a situation where it's unwanted attention?
Well, okay, so I'm thinking like put yourself in to the perspective of when you go out, even in like a public event, like outside of swinging. If you're at the bar and someone approaches you and you're not really interested, what do you do in those situations? I mean, generally for girls, what we would do in those situations are we would find another girl and we would kind of like give them a look because girls kind of have like this code. And so we would kind of like grab another girl, and even if it's somebody that we don't really know, like just grab this other girl and be like, hey, and like strike up a conversation with them and like kind of give them the signal, like, I'm not really interested in this person. And they could kind of like lead you away from that person, make up an excuse, like, oh my God, did you see so and so? Let's go say hi to them. And you can like excuse yourself with that buddy system, or you can just say, I'm going to use the bathroom and kind of deviate away from that person and go grab a drink, go to the bathroom, go find another section to kind of hang out in. But I mean, if they're persistently, you know, not leaving you alone, then at a swinger event or even a bar, you always have the option to go to like an employee that works there, so like a bartender or security at a club and just be like, "Hey, like I've kind of made it clear to my best abilities that I'm not really interested. in this person, but they keep kind of like coming up to me and I really don't know what to do. And then they can handle it for you. And they're discreet about it. I mean, they can just go up to them and be like, hey, like you were talking to this girl, but she's not really interested. So maybe just give her some space or move on.
I mean, luckily, you haven't encountered any of those kind of issues. And I don't think I've seen any of that happen in the 4 or 5 years we've been doing this. But I do think that's a genuine concern because women are focused on safety. They have to feel safe.
Yeah. And safety is a huge thing for women. But like I said, there's always other women there. And I know any woman listening to this, like, you understand, like, there is, like, that girl code, and I've never been anywhere where I couldn't, like, go up and, like, grab another woman and just be like, "Hey, like, there's this guy, and I'm really not into him, but, like, he's still kinda, like, talking to me, like, can you help me out?" And I've never had another girl be like, I'm not helping you." Like, we got each other's backs. So, you always have the option to, like, grab another woman and just be like, "Hey, like, dance with me," or, "Hey, let's, go outside," and kinda get away from that situation. In the swinging lifestyle, I've never really had that happen to me, but I have in the real life world, I guess, like out at a bar or things like that. There's been a few times where I've had to grab like another girl that I don't really know and just be like, "Hey, you know,
Right.
let's do this." And the same thing can be said about guys. So, I have some guy friends if I was at a bar and if I knew a guy there that I was pretty like friendly with, like I could even go up to them and be like, "Hey, like help me out in this situation." And that guy would like pretend to be like my boyfriend or my husband or whatever just to try to like be like, "Hey, like she's not single, like we're together," kind of move on. Um and the same thing can be said for Philip. If I was ever at a lifestyle event and something like that happened, like I could go to Philip and be like, "Hey, I'm really not interested in this guy. I don't know how to make it clear to him." And then he would kind of step in and be like, "Hey, she's really just not interested," or however he would do it, but he would still do it in a nice way.
So, do you think that women in the lifestyle are more forward and more open to other people? Let me give you an example.
Yeah, give me an example.
Okay. So I noticed that women will touch on other women or touch on men without really asking for permission. And
Mm,
I don't think it's anything like bad. They're not like not sticking a finger in someone,
right.
but they're definitely like a little bit more handsy.
I feel like that might be like a woman thing in general. Like I feel like if I go out to a nightclub, I have no problem, like, going up and, like, talking to other women or, like, dancing with another girl that I just met, and because I think that I feel like the standards are a little different, and that might be a little sexist, but I feel like it's not I feel like it's just approached differently, like, a man coming up and touching on a woman without asking is construed differently than a woman coming up and, like, rubbing on your back or,
Right.
grabbing your hand or I just feel like it has something to do with, like, the perceived threat. I
Because
know that
I don't
sounds
think
really
that you
weird.
perceive them as a threat. Like for me, I've had women come up and grab my crotch with just no rhyme or reason. It's happened. Now, does that make me feel a certain type of way? No. But other men, that would bother.
Yeah.
Seeing other women kind of do the same thing to the ladies around them. So I was just curious your thought on that, being a woman in the lifestyle. I think it happens honestly, I think it happens less in the lifestyle than it does out in public, especially, like, you start getting alcohol involved and you're at a nightclub. Women tend to get a little handsy.
Yeah, and I think it's like I said, I feel like it's, like, especially if it's, like, girl on girl, I think it's, like, perceived differently.
You should still ask for consent.
Yeah, you definitely should ask for consent. I'm just like, I think like in the world, it's just, I think that there's such like a stigma of like men are dangerous and all men are trying to like do something nefarious. And so like if a man walks up to me and touches me without like asking, like my brain says danger.
Right. It's almost like that question, would you rather be in the woods with a man or a bear?
Right. It's exactly that question.
Right. Okay. So, how do you handle jealousy when it shows up?
How do I handle jealousy personally?
Yeah.
For me, I communicate my feelings. Sometimes it's hard at first. Sometimes I have to sit with it for a minute and figure out, like, why am I feeling this way? But we do a really good job of communicating and talking about things. And so that's why communication in the swinging lifestyle is so important because if I'm jealous, like you don't know that unless I tell you that because those are feelings that like I'm feeling and they may or may not be evident. So I do have a tendency to get a little distant when I'm feeling some sort of way. If I'm a little salty about something, I'll be a little bit more reserved and withdrawn. And I think that you pick up on that. And then you kind of like want to know, like, what's going on? Like, where's your head at? But like I said, at the end of the day, like I come to you and I'm just like, this is what I'm feeling and this is why. And most of the time, if I'm reserved about coming to you, it's because I feel like I'm being dramatic or like I'm overreacting. And I need time to make sure that that's not the case, that there's like truly a reason why I'm feeling this way. And sometimes it's more of a me problem than an us problem. And I have to kinda work on that and then talk to you about it, and then we kinda go back and forth to figure out, like, why am I feeling this way, and then work through it. So communication, I think, is gonna be the best way to handle jealous feelings because if you're not communicating it, then you can't fix it, and then you just stay jealous, and then it starts to eat at you, and then that causes problems, and 90% of the time, there's no reason to feel jealous. And once you talk through it, you realize that, okay, well, I feel this way, but we talked about it. You understand why I'm feeling this way, and you can show empathy and then give me the reinforcement that I need to pull me out of that.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about emotional check ins after experiences. How important is that to women?
Me personally, I think emotional check ins are super important. So after every time that we go out and we experience a play environment, and we have a night out, we play with someone, we always do what we call our reconnect. And so for Philip and I, personally, we'll come back to our house, the hotel, whatever the situation is, depending on how far from home we are. But we'll come home and we take a long hot shower together. We take time to do some personal care with each other. So, like, you'll wash my body, I'll wash your body. We'll spend time just like being connected in the shower. And then we go back to, the bed and we have intimate time together. And it's more of like a reclaiming. And then we'll talk. And so then we reclaim each other's bodies and kind of take back what's ours and remind each other that this is where we want to be, that we're in this relationship together. And then after that, before we go to bed, we kind of have a discussion and we talk about, well, how was the night for you? What did you like? What didn't you like? Were you good with everything that happened? Would you have preferred something else to happen? And we check in and just to make sure that we're both on the same page, that we are both good. There's no jealousy. There's nothing that's happened that's got one of us upset. And we just talk about it. And then we move on. We go back to our normal everyday life. And we might talk about it one or two times throughout the week. We might remember something and be like, oh, do you remember when this happened? And then talk about it. But I think the emotional connection and like the reconnecting with your partner is super important.
Okay. Have you ever had to create and use safe words or come up with an exit strategy?
I haven't had to do that, but I feel like we're so connected that it would just take a look. Like if I reached over and like in the middle of us fucking other people and I was uncomfortable for whatever the reason, I could reach over, touch your leg and look at you and you would know like something's wrong. We need to pause whatever this is and we need to reevaluate. And so, I mean, for us, that works. If you don't feel like you can look at your partner and like give them a look like, I'm not okay, like something's bothering me, then come up with a word or like a system of some kind. If that works for you, then totally do it. But for us, like I said, we've been doing this for a long time. So, and we've been together for a long time. I mean, 16 years is a long time. Like, you know me inside and out. You know every facial expression. So, all it takes is a look, and
Mhm.
you would know, like, something is not okay with Veronica.
Right. Have you ever had any of your boundaries crossed in a play situation?
I don't think that I've had boundaries crossed. I have been in a situation where things happened without consent. And it didn't really bother me that there wasn't consent, but like a part of me was like, well, you should have asked before you did that.
Mhm.
Um, but it wasn't like so drastic that I was like, no, sir, like, we're not gonna do that. So I mean, there has been one time where something happened where there wasn't like the question before it happened. But as far as like my boundaries, I feel like everyone has kind of respected that. There was one time, but it never actually happened. So there was one time that we were at a party and Philip and I were in a room and we've said this in other episodes, but we tend to be a little bit of expositionists, so we like to be watched. So we'll leave the door open and that allows people to come into the room but like not touch. So there was one time where I was bent forward and I was sucking Philip's dick and the my ass end was kind of facing the side of the bed and kind of like in full view of anybody who was in the room. And I was, like I said, giving Philip a blowjob. And the next thing I know, Philip is talking. And I don't really know what's going on, but apparently a gentleman had entered the room and had approached the bed, pulled his pants down, and was going to insert his dick inside of me with no condom, no consent, just was like, we're going to go for it because her ass is right here. And so Philip had to stop him and say, no, you're going to ask her if you can touch her. And second, you're going to use a condom because that's one of our boundaries. And you can't just come into a room and not ask and just think that you can do whatever you want to her because her ass is in the air. That doesn't give you permission. It's not implied consent. That doesn't work in the lifestyle. Implied consent is not a thing. It is a, can I do this? Can I touch you? Can I fuck you? Like, it is a very straightforward yes or no question. And if the answer is no, it's no. If the answer is yes, then yes, you can go ahead and do whatever you want to do that I allow you to do. But that was the only one time that that happened. And we actually did tell somebody that was employed there as well, just so that they could kind of keep an eye on this gentleman and make sure that he wasn't doing something that he wasn't supposed to do.
Right, exactly. You wanna protect all of our friends around us as well. Whether we know you or not, we're still there together.
Yep.
So, as a woman, sometimes you lead to situations, right? Have you ever had to say no to me, your partner, and then you feel guilty about it? And how do you deal with that?
I feel like most of the time, if you point somebody out, most of the time we're on the same page. Um, so generally speaking, I don't really disagree with your choices. Sometimes if I say no to something, it has to do with me and my insecurities. So you might point out somebody and, she might be
Latino?
yeah, like Latino or she might be like super petite. And like I said, I'm not like by any stretch of the imagination big. I'm an average woman but I still have body conscious issues. And I know, like, so for me, like, I know that you're an ass man. I have an ass, but I don't have the ass. And so I was blessed with tits, and God just kind of forgot about giving me a butt. So I don't have a dump truck, right? I just have a normal butt. And so I always joke with Philip and I'm like, you picked the wrong bitch because I got tits and you're not even a tit guy, but whatever. So, like sometimes like if you pick out a girl and you're like, she's so fucking hot, and I look over and she's like a size 2 with this big ass dump truck, I'm like, of course you like her, and it's like, I might be like, meh, no. And mainly because I'm just feeling insecure about myself. And I get into my head and I think, oh, well, he's going to like her better than he likes me because she's got a big fat ass, which I know in reality is not true. But your brain is your worst enemy and you'll get into your head about things like that. And even after 4 years, I'm the same way, which is why Philip usually allows me to lead the situation and pick out people because then he knows, well, she picked that person out, so she's not going to be feeling self conscious or insecure about anything because she's navigating this. But it's very rare that I tell you no. And I think that you can agree with that.
Yeah, I was only using us as an example because we're trying to talk from a woman's perspective. So I can imagine there's women out there that tell their partner no, and then they have some guilt behind that.
I think so too.
Like, how do you deal with that guilt, or should you even feel guilty?
I don't, I mean, I think that there is some guilt, but I think at the same time, like, you shouldn't feel guilty because your partner should be supportive of you. And so, like, if I tell you no, you should just be like, okay, we're going to find somebody else because there's lots of people here. There's other options. And if you are wondering why I say no, like question me and ask me. And I'm going to tell you, like, well, I mean, she's got a bigger ass than I do. And I know you like ass and I'm sorry, but you're not getting it this time. And I mean, but we are also at this level where we can be like that blatantly honest with each other. So, I mean, it's a little different for us. But I think, like, yeah, you might feel guilty. And I do feel bad sometimes because I know that there's sometimes that I say no to you and it's because of my insecurity. But I feel like at the same time, like, you shouldn't feel guilty because you're both there to have a good time. And if you saying yes to a situation that you're not 100% comfortable with is going to make you feel uncomfortable, then you shouldn't say yes to that situation.
Okay. Do you feel more in control of your desires now in a swinger lifestyle than in a monogamous relationship?
I think so, yeah. I feel like I have a better understanding of my sexuality. And I think it's like more freeing to know that I'm allowed to have fun and I'm allowed to express myself like how I want to express myself, like whether that's with my body, my personality. Like I feel more free to like be true to my own self.
That doesn't always have to be about sex. That could be about the outfits that you get to wear.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. As a woman, what does it feel like to openly own your sexuality in this space?
I think it's freeing and it's kind of empowering because I feel like as women, from the time that you're a little girl and you go through school, like most of the time, like, okay, let's go back to school. So in school growing up, like there's a school dress code, and most of that is heavily centered around women. You have to cover your shoulders, don't show too much skin because you could be a distraction. And so it's society really puts a lot of the burden on women and sexuality and how our bodies are a distraction and the way that we look is what causes things to happen. I mean, I think I read an article the other day talking about, we live in a world where if you were to get sexually assaulted, the first question is, well, what were you wearing?
Mhm.
And why should that matter? It shouldn't matter. But we're programmed to make sure that we cover up, that we're decent, that we don't want to give someone the wrong idea and or portray ourselves in a way that would insinuate something that we're not trying to insinuate. So like if you don't want the attention, then cover it up. And that's a society pressure. And so I feel like being in the lifestyle, it allows me to feel confident walking around in a negligee or wearing lingerie that has, no bra. Like what do they call it? The lingerie where like that has, like, doesn't cover your boobs. I don't know what it's called, but, like, I can walk around in a room full of people with my tits out and not have to worry about it. I can walk around in booty shorts and not have to worry. And I don't have to cover my body in fear of being a distraction or making it making myself more vulnerable to be raped or sexually assaulted because I was wearing something, so I was asking for it.
Mm.
Like, it just allows you to step outside of that societal pressure and allows you to express yourself in a way that you want to express yourself. If you want to wear short shorts, wear short shorts. If you want to wear, you know, a crop top and no bra and show your nipples, then free the nips. I mean, it's just, it allows you the freedom to be yourself and express yourself how you want to express yourself.
I think that was well said. So we're gonna change pace here just a little bit, and I want you to think back on the first time that you saw your partner with someone else, and I want to know the emotional side of that, and then what your true thoughts were.
Okay. So going back to that time of our lives, as I already said, sex for me was very emotionally driven, and I had never had sex outside of a committed relationship. And so, sex for me always meant that there was some kind of an emotional connection attached. So, I was always that girl who was like, I skipped the lesson in kindergarten about how to share. I don't know how to share. If anyone touches my man, I'm going to beat a bitch. Like, that was my mentality. Like, we talked about it. We were like, what are you going to do if, like, you see me with another woman? And I literally told you, like, I'll probably grab her by the hair and bash her face in. Like, I don't know if I can do that. Like, I don't know if I can see you be with someone else. And then it happened. And I think at first I was kind of like having like an internal battle with myself. Like I'm seeing what I'm seeing and I'm like, okay, my brain is telling me like, oh, like this is like happening. But then it was like I had this moment where I was like, wow, that's really fucking hot. Like I actually kind of dig this. Like, and I think it was like more of like taking a step back and being like, yeah, like I know he's got a really fucking good dick and he fucks really good. And like now I'm seeing from like the outside looking in, like how good he is at doing what he does. And I'm like, yeah, like I know you fucking like that. Like I don't know, it was, like, kinda like stepping out of myself and then realizing, like, this is okay because I know he loves me and I know that he only wants me, and this to him is just, like, fun, and it doesn't really matter, like, there's no emotion there, like, he doesn't care about this girl. Like, yeah, like, he's having a good time, but she's just somebody to have sex with.
Hmm. Yeah, you share a fun moment, and that's really all it is.
Yeah.
And for me, can't speak for all guys, I've always kind of been that way with sex in general. It's not an emotional thing. It's really just a physical act. And I don't have any emotion. Like you and I, that's different.
Yeah, but and I feel like you also had those kinds of experiences as
I did.
well,
Right. Yeah.
where, you would have one night stands
Hmm.
and, things like that. But like being someone who had never experienced that and coming from the background that I came from and having some issues in the past with like unfaithful
Right.
partners and things like that, all of that plays a role in, how you're going to kind of feel. And the insecurity might come up, but then that's when that reclaiming part is so important and that reconnection and the emotional check ins after. Because then when we went back to the hotel, obviously it was our first time and we hadn't been with anybody for a really long time outside of our relationship. So, I mean, that initial like coming back to the hotel was kind of like that yucky feeling of like, oh my God, like I just did that and like I need a shower. Like I feel kind of grimy and gross just because it was something new
Mm.
to us after so long. But then like we reconnected and there was like that reconfirmation of like I love you and you were so beautiful and that person didn't mean anything to me and you're the only person that I want to be with and like that just like that re-solidifying our connection and our relationship.
So it sounds like it brought up a little bit of excitement and not so much jealousy, which was actually opposite of what you thought was gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. I actually don't think that I was jealous at all. Like, I was just like, wow, like that was crazy and that happened. And then I was surprised that I didn't feel jealous. And I was like, like I really thought that I was gonna like end up fighting somebody and like this was gonna be a bad night. But it just didn't work that way. Like it was just like, wow, that was actually really fun to watch and to be a part of. And we all had a really good time and then we reconnected.
Okay. So when we're in these kind of situations and afterwards, does it make you want your partner more, less, or about the same?
Sometimes it makes me want you more. Sometimes it's just about the same. But I feel like for us personally, like in our relationship, our swinging is more of like foreplay for us. And so, I mean, we have these experiences and they're hot and they're fun. But then we always come back to each other and we spend that intimate time together. And we really have like the best fucking sex after a play experience. I mean, we have good sex in general, but I find that the sex is like hotter and more primal, I guess is the good word for it, during that reclaiming.
So how do you think the lifestyles changed our relationship or like you as a woman, the relationship with your partner?
I feel like our relationship has improved, especially like the communication aspect of it, because I feel like in the past, we didn't communicate, not that we didn't communicate well, but we didn't really always talk about all the stuff. And I found that because of my insecurities and from my past, like with unfaithful partners and like deception and things like that, I was a little more reserved to come to you with my feelings of insecurity or the ways that I was feeling. And I always tried to like kind of like sugarcoat things and like, or like beat around the bush about how
Mm,
I was actually feeling. And I was not as comfortable being like very upfront with my feelings
mhm.
with you. And you've never really been like a talker anyway, especially about feelings. So like if I would try to like press you and like talk with you, you tended to like kind of clam up because, like, you don't do emotions and, like, the deep, soppy, like, conversations, like, you used to always say, like, "I don't do pillow talk," and I feel like you do more pillow talk now
Right.
than in the past, like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many nights that, we lay in bed and we just, like, talk about things
Mhm.
you know, and just, like, talk about our feelings, and we communicate so much better now than we used to. Not that our communication was bad, but I feel like we just have a more open
Yeah,
dialogue.
I think it's changed our communication for the better, for sure. I mean, it's completely different now, the way we talk and we communicate and we talk about issues or we talk about situations than what we did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that really comes back to me more so than you, because you've always been one to talk about your feelings. It's always like, well, let's sit down, let's talk about this. I'm like, no, I don't talk about my feelings because that's how I was. I wouldn't say necessarily how I was raised. It was the experience that I had in childhood that made me close myself off. So, yeah, I think it's definitely changed it for the better.
I feel like our sex is the same. Like, I feel like I mean, no, I say that. I feel like our sex is like, we've always been, like, very, like, sexual. Like, our sexual relationship has always been very healthy between us, but I feel like the sex has gotten better's not the word, more dynamic is maybe the word. I feel like me opening up more, like, sexually has changed, like, our dynamic, and you know more, like, about, like, what know more about what I like sexually, like, things that I kinda may have kept more, like, reserved from
Right.
you, like, for fear of, like, being like, "Oh, I don't want him to think that I'm, like, a fucking freak,"
Right.
because I tell him that I want him to, like, put his hands around my neck or tie me up or whatever. So I think I've been able to be more, like, sexually exclusive with sharing more desires in the bedroom that has helped spice our relationship up. And I don't know if I would have been able to do that without being in the lifestyle.
No, I think that goes back to the communication because we really had we were forced to communicate when we went down this journey. And before that, yeah, we talked about a few of these things and a few of your fantasies, but I mean, honestly, none of it really came out until the last 4 years. I mean, that's when we've really been able to dive in and you can openly say, "Yeah, I wanna fuck 5 guys."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and
And
there's things that I like that you're really not into.
mhm,
Like, I like, to be spanked, or, I like people to use a belt on me. And that might be outside of your comfort
right.
zone, but I'm able to experience that inside the lifestyle in a safe environment.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the hardest part of being a woman in the lifestyle?
I don't really know how to answer that. For me personally, I don't know if there's really a hard part besides like your confidence.
Mhm,
And, women all over the world struggle with confidence and like the standards of what a woman should look like, what your body should be like. I mean, we've been ingrained and instilled that we should look like a supermodel. But that's not the reality of the world. And so I think for women, I think that's probably the biggest challenge is like feeling like you're enough.
yeah, I think just based off of our experiences that the lifestyle helps tremendously with that because you're getting so many compliments every
Yeah.
time we go out. So, I mean, that helps in that aspect. But I guess you could say one of the hard things is just trying to maintain that standard, right?
Yeah.
To live up to it.
Yeah. Well, and the standard is unachievable.
Well, of course it is.
I mean,
What's that song? Victoria's Secrets was made by a guy in Ohio or something,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Like the the standards that society puts on women are unachievable. Yes, there are some women that are supermodels, and there are some women that, have perfect bodies, but 90% of the population is not perfect. And 90% of women out there are not supermodels. And the ones that are supermodels, they work hard to maintain that image and that physique. And, and like you see some of these models like on Instagram. Some of them that's not natural. Like some of them have had plastic surgery and all of these other things to go and achieve the standard that they feel like they should be. But that's not realistic to the real world. And you know what? At the end of the day, attraction doesn't boil down to just the way you look on the outside. More to do with your confidence and how you are as a person on the inside. Because you can be beautiful on the outside and be ugly as fuck on the inside.
Yeah, 100%. So do you think that it's harder to be a bisexual woman in the lifestyle?
I sometimes feel like it is because for like sometimes you'll meet a couple, and you're attracted to the woman, but she's not bisexual. So sometimes it is hard because, like, you're looking to be with women, and you might not always find other women that are interested in women. So that can sometimes be challenging. So, I mean, if you're not interested in men outside of your partner and you're specifically looking for women, that can sometimes be challenging.
No, it definitely can. What's the best part, in your opinion, that people don't really talk about?
I think the best part for me is like the connection with other people and meeting other people that understand that part of you and like the lack of judgment. Like
Mhm.
I don't ever feel judged when I'm in the lifestyle. Like I feel accepted. I don't feel like I have to be a certain way. Like I just feel accepted. And I think the best part is like the connections with other people. I mean, there's plenty of times that we go to a lifestyle event and we just talk to people and hang out and have a good time. And it's not even about the sex. Like there's times that we go to a play event and we don't have sex with people. We just have a good time and we meet people and make friendships and connections. And then you see them the next time that you go to an event and you're like, hey, I haven't seen you in like 2 weeks. Or, it's been a month. Where have you been? And like you catch up. And it's just like a very like close knit friendship where you can hang out and be naked. I mean, it's just,
Honestly, and I know this is from the woman's perspective, supposed to be episode, but I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in here real quick. I have never been in a situation or like a community, I guess,
Mhm.
that is so accepting. I mean, you think of all the different things. You talked about how you grew up in church, not accepting at all. Like if you're not going down their exact path,
Yeah.
you're not accepted. School, same thing. You've got your cliques, right?
Yep.
You're not accepted by this group. Life in general, not accepted. But I feel like I've never once felt that I was not accepted in the swinger community.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's always somebody there that's willing to talk, socialize, get to know you. No, I mean, I feel like it's very inclusive.
And I feel like it's not a bunch of people that are two-faced. Like, you walk up and you talk to someone, and then you turn around, they're not talking bad about you when you leave.
Yeah, that too.
It really is. Like, it's an open community. It's pretty cool. Have you ever doubted whether it was right for you?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm pretty happy being in the swinging lifestyle. I think there have been times where we've kind of stepped back and taken a break. But I mean, I feel like it's just fun. I mean, it's not something that you have to do all the time. And so it's not like a commitment, right? Like if you want to go to a party, go to a party. If you don't, you don't. And I mean, we took a break for what, maybe a year
Mhm.
where we didn't go to any lifestyle events. We didn't talk to anybody outside of our relationship. We just kind of, life got busy and kind of just like dipped out. And, but then we came back and it was like, coming back after a year, we saw some people that we knew and they were like, oh my God, we haven't seen you in forever. Like, where have you been? And, and we just said, like, we've been busy with life. Life kind of hit us and we've been busy doing other things and just took a break. And I mean, but I don't think leaving the lifestyle is something that we would do. I feel like we're kind of in it and we might not do it all the time, but I feel like we're going to probably do it for a while because we're having fun. And if at some point it gets to be the point where it's not fun anymore, then we'll make that decision.
That was actually gonna be my next question, but I feel like you answered it. I was gonna ask, at what point do you see us stepping out of the lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would
I
be
think
when
it's when
it's
it's not fun.
when it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, I think we both agree on that. If it's not fun anymore, we're done.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, I am with the person that I love, and he is my best friend and my other half, and he's enough for me. And all of this other stuff is just fun. And so if it's not fun, then it's not worth doing.
Mhm. Alright, 2 more questions, and then we will be done with putting you on in the hot seat.
The hot seat.
Could you see yourself ever going back to a monogamous relationship?
I mean, yeah, but I think that that's because I've never actually left a monogamous relationship per se. I mean, I'm still in a very committed marriage.
Mhm.
So to me, I do practice ethical non-monogamy, but I'm still very much monogamous in the sense of I am committed to my partner.
In our daily life.
Yeah, in our daily life. So I feel like it's not like for me, it's not a straight line between non-monogamy and monogamy. Like, I know that there's a difference, right? There's a difference between ethical non-monogamy and monogamy. But like in my mind, I am still monogamous with my partner. I just have a little extra fun on the side. I know that sounds really confusing, but that's the way it works in my mind. Like I feel like I'm super committed to you.
Okay. So let's rephrase this so we can
Okay.
see if we can get an answer here.
I mean, I don't know. My mind is just like
Okay.
it's not black and white.
So, God forbid if I were to pass away tomorrow and you got into a new relationship, do you think that it would be a relationship that would be in the lifestyle still, or that it would just be chalked up as something you and I did together and you'd be done with it?
Well, first, if you were for some reason, God forbid, to pass away, first and foremost, I would be a lesbian. Because, it took me a long time to get you to open up and not be a little clam about your emotions. And I like girls. So, first and foremost, I would be a lesbian. And to answer that question, I think that that would have to be a decision that would be made between me and my next partner. If my next partner was 100% against being in an ethical, non monogamous relationship, then I would have to respect my partner. But if I was single and not in a monogamous relationship, then I would just be a unicorn
Yeah,
and a lesbian.
I think that'd be fun.
But I mean, I think it comes down to like respecting whoever you're with. Like if even if it was me and you, like if I wanted to be in the lifestyle but you were not wanting to be in the lifestyle, like we would have to come to
Mhm.
an understanding.
Right.
Like I couldn't force you to be in it, just like you couldn't force
Mhm.
me to be in it. So if my next partner was not into it, then, I would have to be like, okay, well, then we're going to go the strictly monogamous route.
Right.
That would be a little hard for me because I am bisexual and that is a part of my.
Well, I think that's where I think it'd be hard for me too. I feel like I'm like a switch. I can switch between
Yeah,
monogamous and being non-monogamous, and I could be happy either way.
right. That's why I
But
said
if
it's
I
not.
was in a completely monogamous relationship, would I be 100% fulfilled? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I feel like you would be because if say we never went down this path,
Right.
you would still
But
be happy.
right. Oh yeah, happy. I'm saying like there's still desires, right? That's what got you into this.
Yeah.
So you would still have like those desires, right?
Yeah, like
To be
to be
with a
with
woman.
another woman. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Last question. What advice would you give women who are curious but nervous?
I would say that if you're curious, then you should try it and put your nerves in that little box where you can tuck it away. Because when you go and you experience it for yourself and you experience the community that is very accepting and you start getting those compliments, the nerves are going to die down. And the first time that you go out does not mean that you have to jump in and make a decision right then and there. Like you can go out just to experience it and see what it's all about, see if it's right for you. And if it's not right for you, no one's going to judge you for it not being right for you. And you just make that decision then. Like if you're into it, great. If you're not, okay, but you tried it. But there's so many things that your anxiety or your nerves are going to hold you back from experiencing that you might actually like. I mean, if you want to go skydiving and jump out of a plane, you're going to be nervous because you're jumping out of a plane. But if you don't take the leap, then you don't know. It could be the best thing you've ever done. And it could be something that you love. But if you don't take the first step, then you'll never know. And those nerves are just holding you back from something. And I think the other thing too that women might have to deal with is the society pressures of what's right and what's wrong. And especially like if you grew up in church like I did, you might like sit back and be like, "Oh my god, like this is like a sin and there's like this judgment and all of that stuff." Like I think that you have one life to live. We don't get a second go at this. So, you need to do the things that you think are going to bring you joy. And the only person that's going to judge you is, I mean, if you believe in God, then God, but yourself. Like you have to make decisions that you yourself can live with at the end of the day. Like if you lay your head down at night and you feel completely good about what you did today, then you're good. That's all that matters. If you go to bed at night and you're laying there and you're like, "Oh my god, like that was terrible. I should have never done that. I feel so bad about myself." Then more than likely it's not for you. But it's your life. Live it. Live it to the fullest and don't let fear hold you back from experiencing anything that you want in life, whether that's swinging, a career move, having kids, getting married, whatever it is, jumping out of a plane. If it's something that your heart wants, go for it because it's your life and you only have one.
Well said. Well, thank you, Veronica, for giving us some insight into the female perspective of the lifestyle. I think that a lot of listeners are going to enjoy this, and I hope it helps someone.
Yeah, me too.
So, until next time, stay curious
Stay adventurous.
and stay paired.
Bye, guys.